The spiritual path to self-realization. Embarking on the spiritual path often brings doubt and skepticism, challenging our deeply held beliefs and perceptions. This critical phase is not a setback, but a profound opportunity for growth. By facing these doubts head-on, seekers can deepen their understanding and commitment, turning skepticism into a tool of spiritual inquiry and enlightenment. Understanding the spiritual path begins with understanding ourselves. If we investigate, we will find that we are suffering from conceit. Self-conceit is the irrational idea and belief that we are something more than we really are. And this illusory idea of ourselves is in the thoughts of our egoic mind. Thus, the dissolution of the ego is pivotal in the journey to self-realization. The ego, not only in the sense of selfishness, but in the sense of the ego itself, with its constructed identity and attachments, stands in the way of recognizing our true, limitless nature. By removing these barriers, we open ourselves to the experience and essence of our being. Most of us experience the world through the filters of our ego desires. We want happiness and peace, but our ego doesn't want to lose control. He wants pleasant experiences, and he wants them all the time. Once it has satisfied and enjoyed one desire, the insatiable ego seeks the next. That is why we suffer. We never find peace and happiness because we are constantly missing something. Constantly, something is desired. The ego is insatiable. With negative thoughts and feelings, it makes us feel like we're never rich enough, skinny enough, or popular enough. This life is a game between our true self and the ego. If the ego wins, we are lost in suffering in this life and probably the next. But all is not lost. If we contemplate and identify the ego in our thoughts and feelings, we will gain control of our true self. The idea of I is the thoughts that arise in our mind, and with these thoughts, the ego impersonates our true self. Thoughts arise such as, I want to do this, I like that, I have this plan, I desire this or that. So the ego keeps us busy with plans all the time. As long as we believe that these thoughts are our thoughts, we can never find rest when the ego is in control. The thoughts of the ego and the ego itself are identified with our body. In our mind, the ego makes us think that we are the body, so we fall in love with our body. In the Christian Orthodox tradition, the fathers called this state love of the body. Once we get lost in identification with the body, Pandora's box opens. Now we look at our bodies and decide that we are presentable. We observe our minds and think we are smart. Thus, we become vain. But vanity breeds arrogance. And my friends, vanity is the source of all evil in the world. Here's how it goes. To love the body is to yield to it and try to satisfy all its desires. But guess what? Most of these vain desires can only be satisfied with money. Thus, we become ambitious and seek to gain status and wealth in society. So, ambition breeds greed. We become greedy for money so that we can satisfy these irrational desires. Then, greed breeds envy because we envy others who already have what we desire. Now, when we desire people, places, and things, we actively seek to get them, and guess what? Anyone who stands in the way becomes our enemy. Whatever obstacle we encounter, we become enraged to the point where we want to kill that person, destroy an object, or anything that stands in our way. So anger arises, and it arises to the point where we want to destroy anyone who stands in our way. Ah, yes, friends, and thus envy is born, and we wish the man we envy to be destroyed. Our vanity and arrogance cannot stand someone better than us. Yes, friends, envy is not jealousy. Envy is a killer emotion. But guess who is always jealous of others? Our ego, my friends. Yes, our ego. The ego cannot bear anyone better than it because the ego is stupid. He has absolutely no intelligence. But I have good news. The ego is like a mirage. It looks like it's real, but it's not. It appears as thoughts, desires, feelings, ideas, and beliefs, but these are all just thoughts and imaginations in our minds. The reason the ego can be so destructive and cause us suffering is that we identify with it. Whatever our big head believes, we believe. We believe that what our ego thinks is us. We believe that the ego's thoughts are our own thoughts. It is true that these desires come from our own deep desires and manifest as thoughts and feelings. However, the ego usurps them as its own desires and tries to find ways to satisfy them. To satisfy these desires, the ego becomes viral in our thoughts, constantly thinking, creating projects, plans, and desires. This is how the ego controls us. He doesn't let us sit quietly to ponder our thoughts. It does not allow us to observe thoughts, so we run like chickens with our heads cut off in search of pleasures, experiences, money, people, places, and things. But there are many methods that can help us win the game against our cunning ego. So another thing we need to do to defeat the ego's games is to renounce our desires. This is a big blow to the ego. It will come back very angry if we renounce desires, because it is desires that keep this strange, illusory entity, the ego, alive in our minds. If we try to renounce our desires, the ego will come back with thousands of plans to satisfy the desires. He will test us. It will tempt us, but we have to stay strong and we will win. This is why many spiritual practices involve fasting. Fasting weakens the body so that the ego cannot fight our spirit. The first step to recognizing the ego and beating it at its own game is to slow down our movements. Let's slow down. Don't walk so fast. Don't talk so fast. Don't do anything fast. We need to slow down and start walking to be able to think clearly. Meditation practices offer direct pathways to experience our true nature away from the influence of our ego. Through mindful observation and stillness, we can overcome the chatter of the mind, the thoughts of the ego, and encounter the awareness of our being. The role of mindfulness in realizing oneself cannot be overstated. By cultivating present moment awareness, we learn to observe our thoughts, feelings, and sensations without attachment, gradually revealing the peace that lies beyond the mind's usual patterns and patterns. Being in the present moment emphasizes the importance of present moment awareness in realizing our true self. It suggests that liberation lies in escaping the confines of past and future, urging us to embrace the fullness of now, where true peace and clarity reside. Direct experience of the true self transcends spiritual understanding, inviting a direct encounter with our consciousness. This transcendental experience defies conventional language and thought, offering a profound sense of oneness with all existence, unmediated by the ordinary filters of the mind. Self-inquiry, a method of introspection where, if a thought arises in our mind, we ask, who thought that thought, serves as a powerful tool on the journey to awareness. By questioning the nature of the self with these introspective questions, we peel back the layers of our identity and beliefs, getting closer to the core of our being where our true self lies, in the awareness of our consciousness. Dreams often serve as a mirror, reflecting our deepest truths back to us. Dream analysis can be a profound way to understand our lives. They offer insights into our true nature. The guidance of a teacher or mentor on the journey to self-actualization can be invaluable. These guides offer not only knowledge, but also a living example of spirituality in action. Their presence helps to illuminate the spiritual path. Incorporating this spiritual practice into our daily lives helps us maintain spiritual insights while dealing with worldly responsibilities. It is a delicate balance where we learn to act in society without getting lost in the stories and desires of our ego. This integration promotes a life of harmony, rooted in deep inner peace. A powerful way to begin our spiritual adventure is to awaken the Kundalini energy in our body. Kundalini is like a dormant force within us, an energy coiled at the base of our spine, waiting to be awakened. This is Kundalini. Awakening the Kundalini is a journey into our inner universe, unlocking energies that can profoundly transform our being. Let's start by cultivating a lifestyle that honors our body and spirit. Clean eating, regular yoga, and meditation are fundamental steps. Breathing is our first key. Controlled breaths ignite the fire that awakens sleeping energy. Then we can engage in Kundalini Yoga, which is a mixture of movement, dynamic breathing techniques, meditation, and mantra chanting. As we dive deeper, we focus on our chakras during meditation. We envision the energy rising, penetrating each chakra, unblocking and illuminating them as it rises. Awakening the Kundalini is not just spiritual, it is a rebirth. We witness the unfolding of our infinite potential. Created by Elias Stasinos, please like, comment, and subscribe to learn more about this topic.